Good morning everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. I have been slack again with getting videos out this week, mostly because I have an infection in my tooth again. So only recently, it was in like November, I had a big issue with an infection in my tooth. So I've got a broken tooth that keeps playing up, and I can't use the free emergency dental because I have other conditions, and anyway, it's an ongoing process. So it's infected again at the moment. The swelling's gone down a fair bit, but it's unpleasant still, but it's better. So it is 7 a.m. on Monday. Darryl and Surreal have just headed to Toowoomba for the day. We're getting the car service and stuff before the next grocery trip. So today I'm going to work on figuring out my inventory and everything like that. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a sort of a day in the life to show you that preparation of that. I got to get some cooking done. Though it is a heat wave day today. The forecast is for 39, which means it'll probably be more like 42, 43 here. But out on the patio with the fans on is probably cooler than inside anyway, so we'll see. I also got a new camera, so I'm still figuring that out. It looks a bit strange on the screen. I'll have to see how the colors work out when we do it. I'm still figuring those bits and pieces out, but hopefully it will work better than my previous one. The previous one I bought when I very first started vlogging, so it's 2 years old, and it probably wasn't the best of choice, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So this one is a much better choice for it. But as per usual, on a bit of a day in the life, I generally flick between the main camera and my phone anyway, so you'll get a bit of a shift and change of perspective there anyway. I also have to film a video intro today, which I'm going to do shortly. I'm going to go and get my notes and do shortly for another sponsored video, and I hate putting sponsored videos so close together, but because I've been sick and everything else, it just hasn't happened, and it really needs to get out. So we got some kiwi code crates that you'll have. This will probably come out after that, depending on when it's approved, but either way, this one and that one will come out next to each other, and the kids really enjoyed them, and I got lots of footage of the kids enjoying them, so I've just got to put that together for KiwiCo to approve, to share with you, and that'll be fun, because everyone loves seeing the kids anyway, and I only show them in specific situations. So I've got that to do. So Darryl made me a coffee before he left. Very grateful for that. So I'm just going to finish up my coffee, finish working out what I need to get done first for the day, and then I'll bring you along as it happens. So come spend the day with me. So from this point forward, the kids were awake, so we couldn't do the actual sound of what was happening, have to do voiceovers, and that's just the way it goes, which is how most of my cooking videos end up, because that's what happens. So the next thing I got done was some yogurt. I got this new Louvel yogurt maker. I had a Green Living Australia one, and I loved it, and it was super cheap, and it was great. It still works, and I've got it here, and maybe I should find someone who needs it, because it works wonderfully, but it's just a plastic container that creates the the thermos type thing, and it had a lot of trouble regulating temperature when we were really cold or when we're really hot. It just doesn't quite live up to that. So I bought this new Louvel one because I've been eyeing it off for ages. It has this really nice glass bowl that goes in it. It has a 2-litre capacity. You can set the timer. The Green Living Australian one doesn't have a timer, which is fine because you just put it on and turn it off. But this one has a timer, has different degrees you can set. So I upgraded. So I made yogurt in this one for the day. So I'll make it during the day, it'll go in the fridge tonight, and it'll be ready to mix tomorrow. So I use 75 to 100 grams of milk powder, a generous sort of a quarter of a cup of yogurt, or of fresh yogurt or yogurt from a previous batch of yogurt that you've made. I use a couple of calcium chloride drops. That is completely optional, but it helps to thicken it up a little bit. I add a bit of milk and I whisk it, and then I add more milk and keep on whisking it until it's all combined. Now I use UHT milk because it means that I don't have to heat the milk to make the yogurt. So when I use UHT, I just mix it all through and it works. That's it. It's done. I don't have to heat the milk to a certain temperature and let it cool or anything like that. And it means that I can store it on the shelf. So the kids can't drink milk straight, but they can do fermented dairy. So they can do yogurts and milk kefirs, and I have looking at making some of my own sour cream and stuff, though they probably could tolerate sour cream from the store if it's decent quality stuff in small doses. We will see, but they do tolerate fermented dairy, so that has saved me a lot because coconut yogurt is quite expensive to buy and to make compared to using just UHT milk from Aldi. So it'll go into the yogurt maker for 8 to 12 hours at 38 degrees. It's variable depending on how you want it, how tangy you want it, and all that sort of thing. This yogurt maker has the ability to do it in the lower temperature range for I can't remember the name of it. I'll try and remember to put the name on the screen. El Rituri or something style yogurt, but that's not really my concern. I'm using low quality UHT milk. We just want yogurt. After that, I made lunch meals. So we're doing flatbreads or yeasted tortillas, whatever you want to call them, for lunch. I use 400 grams of water, 7 grams of yeast, teaspoon of salt, about 60 grams of oil, and about 750 grams of flour. It does a good batch size for us. I knead it in the Thermomix for 2 minutes. You could use anything you want. You could do it by hand. You could do it in your KitchenAid. I just have the Thermomix, and it's nice and easy to do it in that. And then I grease a bowl to put it in and put it in the bowl. It only needs sort of 15 minutes. We're not looking to have any significant rise. We're just looking to have fluffy and sort of stretchy and easy to work with. So 15 minutes is enough time to leave it at those rates, especially in our temperatures. If it was winter, it'd probably take a bit longer, but in our temperatures, that's perfectly fine. 15 minutes is enough to just get it at a nice, silky, smooth, easy to work with, easy to roll out dough. I had some chicken minced to frosting, so I pulled some of that off. It was a 2 kilo lot, so I just pulled a portion of it off to have with them. I still haven't done those black beans. I really need to do the black beans. So we went really plain with this one. I seasoned the minced chicken with some of the homemade plum Worcestershire sauce, which is the Sally Wise recipe, which we adore. Some onion powder or onion bits, some garlic powder, salt, smoked paprika, mustard powder. Cooked it off in the hot pan until it was in like crumbles. Sonnet kept it moving while I split the dough, so she kept it moving around the pan and breaking it up while I split the dough. My hacket that a viewer sent me that I love for this sort of thing, I can't find it at the moment. I'm really sad about that. I need to find it. So she just used a wooden spoon and moved it around for me. I rolled out the tortillas I split the dough into balls for the tortillas, about approximately 40 to 50 gram balls. Once the mince was cooked, I put it aside to cool a little bit, and then I rolled out the tortillas and Sonnet helped me cook them off. They don't take very long each side, so having a helper is really welcome with these because it is really easy to burn when you roll them out really thin like a tortilla. Flatbreads not so much because I leave them a bit thicker, but when they're sort of tortilla thinness, they do burn quite quickly. They only take 20 seconds each side at the most. So she was helping to flip them and that while I was putting them on the pan. I also made up some mayo at the same time. In my usual way, I use my immersion blender and I use a couple of eggs, some cowboy candy, lemon juice or vinegar, mustard or mustard powder, depending on what I've got, and then oil with the immersion blender. And I just blend it and blend it and blend it until it is right for us. I served the tortillas up like little burritos, put a bit of the chicken mince in the middle, a bit of the mayo, rolled them up and served them. Obviously this would be better with some greens in there, some beans in there, some corn, something else in there, but today was about trying to keep things simple, so that's what we had for lunch. So it's nearly 1 o'clock. It is almost 42 degrees, which is just absolutely lovely. Lunch is done, packed away. Meat is out to defrost for dinner. Not that I'm entirely sure what I'm doing for dinner yet. I need to do some inventorying for the groceries, so I'll get sorted on that next. But first I'm going to record the little clip that I need to record for the other sponsored video. And then I need to do some baking. I might do some muffins or a slice or something, or I might actually make some granola to go with the yogurt. That way they've got a couple of choices while I'm gone. I'll figure it out. Darryl hasn't let me know how much the mechanics are going to cost yet, so that's sort of eating at me a little bit. If it's going to be so expensive, which is going to impact the groceries as well. So I need to make sure that I do a really good inventory this month so that I don't overbuy, but so that we definitely have enough to do. It's so hot. I'm still standing under my kitchen space because normally I go wander so that the scenery is a little bit better, but it's too hot. So I'm going to get onto that other video clip now, and then I will start the inventorying, I think. I decided the next thing I was going to do was granola. So we'll see if we have time to get anything else done. But granola for now. Sonnet requested chocolate granola. I used to buy granola, and there was a chocolate flavored one that she really liked. So she requested me to try and make chocolate granola. So I gave it a go. I normally make sourdough granola because I can then make it into these nice clusters, but I have not been making sourdough lately. It has just been too hot and the dough does not respond very well. So I did a standard sort of a granola, which means it's going to be in individual pieces, but that's fine too. So I did a basic granola. I melted coconut oil, cocoa, maple syrup, some cinnamon and vanilla in the Thermomix. You could melt it however you want. It was about 300 grams of coconut oil, about 250 grams of maple syrup, about 50 grams of cocoa, a heaped dessert spoon of cinnamon, and a dash of vanilla. I did put this up on Facebook too with the recipe for anyone who wants to go and have a look there. I'm working with about 1 kilo of oats. So I added about 250 grams of shredded coconut, 50 grams of chia seeds, 50 grams of sesame seeds, because they're the seeds that I like in this sort of thing, 400 grams of nuts. You could use sunflower seeds, pepitas, any other sort of seeds you want to use. This just happened to be what was on my shelf and easy access. I do have some sunflower seeds that I've realised now, but they're in one of the crates over the other side of the kitchen, and I just didn't grab them. So this is what I did for this particular thing. You could replace it with anything you like. I wouldn't put dried fruit in while you're toasting it because it toasts too long and it will go hard and kind of not very nice. So if you want to add dried fruit, I'd mix it in after it's cooled. You could also add like choc chips or something in after it was cooled if you really wanted to make it decadent, but this is supposed to be breakfast, so you know. So I coated it all really well with the melted oil and sweetener and then spread it out onto trays to bake. I bake it low and slow at about 150 degrees for up to 30 to 45 minutes per tray. It really depends on your oven and how thick you've piled it onto that tray. Once each tray was cooked and cooled, I transferred it to a container, but I left the lid off the container to make sure that it's really, really cool, because if it's warm at all in there, you're going to get moisture and then it's going to go soggy, and we want it nice and crispy. So I left the lid off to make sure that it was really completely cooled before putting a lid on, and then kept on repeating it. So I think that this mix, this 1 kilo-ish of oats with all the add-ins, worked out to about 4 of those half sheets worth of cooking. So it's sort of a 2-hour cooking span in my barbecue. I really need to upgrade my barbecue so I can fit 2 trays in, but for the moment, that's about how long it took, which meant that I didn't bake anything else, but I stood around doing other stuff while it was doing that. So while I was doing that, I started doing some of the planning. So anyone who's watched before has seen my inventory sheets, and I'm still working on this planner set out to get it exactly how I want it. So I haven't released anything. I gave the links to the inventory sheets out a while back, but other than that, I'm still working on exactly what I want to add to anything within the planner. So it's not there yet, but I'm setting it up in such a way that it works for like the monthly style shopping and works for me that way, and then hopefully it'll be useful for some other people as well. That's the theory anyway. But so this is my inventory sheets. So what I do is I go over my entire pantry shelves and see what's left of everything, and I write it down here, and I have my base levels of what I like to keep on the shelf, and then I put down what I have, what the base levels are, and how many I need. So this list was, like, you can see that it's been typed, not handwritten, the initial, though the font here is one that I actually made with my own handwriting, which is kind of neat. But the list here isn't exhaustive, but it was the main things that I used at the time, and I am going to try and do like another sheet, a blank sheet in as well, so that I can add other things to it as I go. Now, I don't take my iPad with me to shopping, obviously, because look at the size of it. I don't want to be carrying it around. I actually do have my iPad with me when I go shopping regularly, because I tend to sit here and draw. Like if I'm having lunch or something and I'm on my own, I might draw or use it as, and I use it as my laptop or whatever and answer comments, but I don't want to pull it out for grocery purposes. So what I actually do is I take a photo of this on my phone and I use it on my phone, but I like to have it nice and big to work on, and that's the point of this. I do much prefer to write on paper. My handwriting is 1,000 times better on paper than it is on a screen and all that sort of thing, but I lose notepads. I go through so many of them and I lose so many of them that it's just, yeah, it doesn't work. And I like to have records of things going back. So I have these inventory sheets for months. So they come up and so I can look back over months to see what I bought or what I had left on the shelf and that sort of thing. I also keep a running spreadsheet of all the groceries that I buy with prices, which I have been meaning to collate in such a way that I can share, but I haven't got there yet. But anyway, this is the inventory. So this is what I did before. I took footage of the shelves, which I will share. Footage of the shelves that have our standard dry goods that aren't canned. Now my phone is playing up on me, it's very hot here. So I took footage of the whole shelf to show and check what I had numbers of, and so that I can then assess what I need from there. There's also food stored in crates and stuff as well, so like the coffee beans and the pastas and the oats and stuff are stored in crates underneath the benches, so I check those as well. And then I go through here. So if I look at my video here, like I could be standing up at the shelf, mind you, but I'm not, because I'm sitting here because it's really hot and there's a fan on. But if I look at my shelf, I can see that, so the first thing here is tin corn. I can see that there is only 5 tins of corn on my shelf at the moment. So then I just sit there and I just put how many in there. So basically I need 19. So what I will probably do when I do the shopping, because Aldi has them in trays of 12, is I'll probably just buy 2 trays regardless, because with only 5 left, that's not very many, and they'll probably eat those 5 while I'm gone too, because they like them as a snack. So tinned tomatoes is something similar. I've actually got 12 of the tins of tomatoes, but I've got 3 of the really big tins to make the pasta sauce that I bought, so I don't actually need any more, so I normally just do that. Tuna, we have 5 of them, and they come in packs of 6, so I probably won't buy any of that. Pesto, we have, I think we've got like 8 green and 8 of the red. The green tends to get eaten more often, so what I might do is I'll say 12, and then I'll say we'll get 12 more, and I'll do that in the green because they come in 12s, and then that way it's just a slab of them at Aldi. Passata, we're fine, we've got the 12, and I will probably use, we've got over 12 actually. Looks like I might have 13, so we'll just put 12 in there and say none. I will probably use half a dozen of them to do bologneses and stuff this month, so we will need some next month, but we don't need it at the moment. Tomato paste I have plenty of. I have a surplus of it at the moment, I'm not sure why, so we're just going to say yep, we got plenty. Soy sauce, I only have 1 open and not a spare one on the shelf, so we want a spare one. Oyster sauce is the same. I have 1 on the shelf, or open in the fridge, but none on the shelf, so I'd like a spare one. Fish sauce is the same thing. There's 1 open, 1 spare would be nice. Worcestershire sauce now becomes irrelevant because I got cut off there at the end. I don't know quite what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all my lists, and I'm going to do this for every item, check the stock of every item that's in the house to make sure I know what I need, and then I'll come back. One of the other things I did have time to do was smoothie pops. So I've got plenty of frozen peaches and bananas at the moment, so that's the flavour I did. I just did a whole bunch of frozen peaches, bananas, some milk kefir and some coconut cream, blended it all up, tasted it, got Sonnet to taste it, make sure that it was okay by her standard. I did add some hemp protein powder as well. I just like to add some sort of hemp seeds or protein powders or something into these smoothie pops just to make them that little bit extra, you know, filling for them. And Sonnet had requested that we put granola in the top of the smoothie pop. She must have seen it somewhere. So she sprinkled granola in the bottom of the smoothie molds, and then we filled them up, and then she sprinkled some on the top as well before putting the sticks in. These are my new eBay molds that I bought. I've used them once before on Here Things, but prior to that I always use the Kavings, and I have a code for the Kavings molds which I'll put in the description if I remember. And I adore the Kavings molds. They are a great shape, a great size, really easy to use, but they require somewhere flat. And at the moment, while we're doing this whole changeover of the freezers and stuff, and we've got a lot of ice because it's summer, a lot of ice trays, I just don't have the flat space to stack them out. So they're sitting in a container at the moment, and I bought these ones to see how they'd work, thinking that they would take up less space and be easier to fit in the freezer, and they do. They take up less space, much easier to put in the freezer, and the pops come out really simply out of these ones too. They have been working really well. So I love my Kavings, but right at the moment, this is what I'm using for the moment. So we got them sorted and in the freezer, and then went back to planning. So I got all my inventory done, everything that needs to be done there. But the other thing that I need to plan when I do my monthly shop, meat and stuff to a degree, I know what I'm getting, so that's a little bit less written down. But one of the other things that I do need to do and plan is if anything out of the ordinary is requested. So like Sonnet has a kiwi crate that has a specific recipe in it that she wants to make that requires pomegranate juice. So what I tend to do is I then have some notes, normally a little bit fancier than this, but as I said, I'm still getting the planner set up for you guys to have a look at, and I haven't quite got it how I want it, but note paper works just as well. So what I tend to do is I tend to do something along the lines of, like, you know, meal ideas or whatever, and then, so I don't know, meal ideas or something. I like to, you know, make it look a little appealing, and then so if there's specific meal ideas that I need to buy, I also then generally have something along the lines of key ingredients, which are things that have been asked for but don't necessarily, aren't necessarily something I would normally buy, like the pomegranate juice. So I can't think of any actual meals that I can't think of anything in particular that is, yeah, I don't know what meals. So Sonnet would like some pomegranate juice, which is fine. And then meal ideas, I don't know that I had anything significant this month that requires anything extra. Like, I've got some stuff listed. I really wanted to do some velveted beef, but I'm going to buy the beef anyway, and I've already got the ingredients for it. So we're going to do some stir-fry beef, but I don't think I need anything for that. That's just I found a different velveting method that I want to try. We'll do spring rolls with some of the chicken mince and cabbage and stuff, but I've got spring roll pastry in the freezer, and I also want to try making some more of my own again. I probably could do with some gyoza wrappers again, because we did make some prawn and pork gyozas when Mum was here at Christmas, and I didn't end up filming it, and I haven't made any more because the gyoza wrappers don't last very long in the fridge, and they're just such a pain to make. So I might grab some of them so that we can try that gyoza again. Now I do need to, there is some things that I need to get done this month. Okay, so I haven't done the onion jam, and that's really bad because it means those onions have been sitting there for 6 weeks, and it means that some of them will be bad, which is really unfortunate and something I try so hard to avoid. But the onion jam will need to be done. The other thing I need to do is pasta sauce for the shelf, and the other side of that is bolognese. So there is no bolognese pre-made left in the freezer at all at the moment. There is some pasta sauce on the shelf, but not a whole lot. The other thing, we are down to the last jar of butter chicken on the shelf as well, so we could probably do with some more of that. And I badly need to do those black beans as well. So I have the black beans, I just haven't soaked them, so I don't need to buy it, I just need to soak them. What else was there that needed to be done this month? Not sure. That's the main stuff that was there. Specific meal stuff, we're going to do the fried beef, spring rolls, gyoza. We'll do all the standard stuff otherwise normally, but those were three of the things that were a bit out of the ordinary. Need a few extra things for sushi has been requested a few times. I've got nori on the inventory list, so I've got nori here somewhere there. So we only have one packet left, so I'll grab some more of those. Other than that, we've got one packet of the surimi left in the freezer, so I won't get any more of that for the moment. And we do have some prawns left from Christmas, which I'll use with the gyoza and stuff. So I can't think of anything that I've written down as wanting to specifically do this month. There's a fair bit of baking and things like that, but that all uses the stuff that I normally use. So at the moment, I tend to do this, some meal ideas, things that must be done in this month, and then key ingredients if there's anything specific that needs to be bought that I wouldn't normally buy. So pomegranate juice and gyoza wrappers. Don't know. I will add to that over the next couple of days while I would brainstorm meal planning and recipe ideas and things like that for this month's food. But it gets really hard to think about food at this point of the month, after the 6 weeks, at the end of the 6 weeks. So anyway, so that's how I start my planning anyway. I get the inventory done, I get some notes on meal ideas, key ingredients, things like that, and then I'll go from there and work it forward. Dinner tonight was super simple. I had the rest of that chicken mince, so I seasoned and cooked it the same way as I did for lunch, added some Worcestershire sauce, onion, garlic, mustard, smoked paprika, all that sort of thing, and cooked it off. Seasoned it probably a little heavier than I did for lunch, just because it was going with noodles. I boiled up some chicken broth off the shelf, added a bunch of shredded zucchini, some coconut cream, soy sauce, oyster sauce, probably a bit of vegeta, salt needed. They probably didn't need salt because it had soy sauce in it. Whatever flavorings I needed to get it to taste nice. And then cooked the ramen noodles in it. So I'm using the Jin Mai Ling ramen noodles here. A kilo pack are $3.10 at Coles. Perfectly, they're so good. Such a good price and work so well. Anyway, used them. Cooked them off in the broth, and then added the chicken mince in. So again, this could do with some greens, some spinach or something would be really great, but as we all know, my garden is doing next to nothing this year again, and it's the end of 6 week grocery shop, so I don't have much in the way of anything there, but it does have a whole lot of shredded zucchini and stuff in it. I don't even have any cabbage left. Anyway, there was a bit of a delay between cooking and serving it because Darryl got home from Toowoomba. So the noodles absorbed a lot of liquid and it was a little thicker and a little less soupy, ramen-y than when it was, first cooked. But still extraordinarily tasty, of course. After dinner was done, I checked the yogurt and put it in the fridge. So it had thickened up nicely, stuck it in the fridge, and it will sit there overnight. In the morning, I will pull it out and I'll put a jar of pureed fruit. So when I get lots of berries and stuff, I tend to can them in just 250ml jars, a tiny bit of sugar, tiny bit of citric acid, and it's basically just pureed fruit. And then we pour that into the yogurt, mix it through, and then we've got flavoured yogurt. And yes, this is the next day. Well, 2 days later. So it's Wednesday when I'm finishing off this video, and I will get it out for tomorrow morning. I crashed hard yesterday, so it was probably doing all of this in a 42-degree day, to be honest. So I crashed really hard on Tuesday, slept for just about the entire day, and was feeling really, really unwell. So I'm only just getting to this now. So it is Wednesday now, and I'm getting it finished off, and then I will get it finished editing, and I'll get it up in the morning. So, yes. So that was the sort of, day in the life, how I'm planning the monthly shop while Darryl was away in the lead up to the groceries, which I'm leaving for once I finish this. So I'm all over the place at the moment, guys, and I apologise profusely for not keeping up my end of the, you know, getting things done. It's been a hard few weeks since Christmas. So anyway, I will see you on the next video, guys, and thanks for watching.